Arthur, a shy librarian, lived hidden behind bookshelves until one day, fate called him to the stage. Can a single red bow tie transform a timid soul into Arturo, the great storyteller? Get ready to witness a heartwarming journey where confidence isn't a trait, but a surprising choice. Discover how to write your own brave new chapter. In the heart of the city, nestled among bustling streets, stood a bright and colorful children's library, a haven of stories and dreams. Here resided Arthur, a gentle soul who found solace in the silent shelves and whispered tales of old. But Arthur held a secret close to his heart, a shyness that kept him hidden in the background, far from the spotlight he secretly longed for. The library was Arthur's sanctuary, a place where the noise of the city faded into a gentle hum and the world felt a little less daunting. He loved the order of the books, each one holding a universe of its own, and he spent his days ensuring every volume was precisely where it belonged. But even within this safe haven, Arthur's shyness was a constant companion, holding him back from fully embracing the vibrant world around him. One Monday morning, as the first rays of sunlight peeked through the library windows, an unexpected call shattered Arthur's routine. The regular storyteller, a vivacious woman named Ms. Abigail, had fallen ill. A wave of panic washed over Arthur as the manager approached, her eyes filled with a mixture of concern and hopeful expectation.
"Arthur," the manager began, her voice gentle yet firm, "Miss Abigail can't make it today. The children are eagerly waiting for story time. Would you be able to fill in?" Time seemed to stop as Arthur's mind raced with excuses, each one more desperate than the last. His heart pounded in his chest, each beat echoing the fear that threatened to consume him. Speaking in front of a group, especially children, was his greatest fear. He stammered, searching for a way out. But the hopeful look in the manager's eyes made it impossible to refuse. I'll do it," he managed to whisper, the words barely audible above the frantic beating of his heart. The manager smiled, relieved, and patted him on the shoulder. "Thank you, Arthur. You're a lifesaver." As she walked away, Arthur felt a wave of dread wash over him. That night, sleep evaded him. His mind was a whirlwind of worst-case scenarios. Stumbling over words, forgetting the story, facing the disappointed faces of the children. The weight of his shyness pressed down on him, threatening to suffocate him. In his restless state, Arthur remembered a biography he had once read about a famous actor, a man who, despite his immense talent, suffered from crippling stage fright. The actor had found a unique way to cope. He would transform himself into a character, shedding his own insecurities and embracing the confidence of his role. An idea sparked in Arthur's mind. "Maybe I could try that," he thought. "I don't have to be just Arthur the shy librarian. I can be someone new, someone bold and confident." The thought was both terrifying and exhilarating. With newfound resolve, Arthur climbed out of bed and walked towards his closet. He sifted through his clothes, searching for something that would help him embody his new persona, something that screamed confidence. His eyes landed on a bright red bow tie, a daring accessory he had bought on a whim, but never dared to wear. It was too bold, too attention-grabbing for the shy librarian he had always been. But tonight, it felt like the perfect symbol of the transformation he was about to undergo. The next morning, Arthur dressed carefully, his hands trembling slightly as he fastened the red bow tie around his neck. Looking at himself in the mirror, he took a deep breath and whispered, "You're not Arthur, you're Arturo, the great storyteller." He practiced his voice, exaggerating his pronunciation and adding dramatic flair to his words. He rehearsed grand gestures, pretending his hands were paintbrushes, creating vivid images in the air. Arturo was ready to make his debut.
As he walked into the children's section of the library, Arthur felt a familiar wave of nervousness wash over him. But this time it was different. He was no longer just Arthur. He was Arturo, the great storyteller, and he had a role to play.
He stepped onto the small stage, the spotlight shining brightly on him. A sea of eager faces looked up at him, their eyes filled with anticipation. Arthur took a deep breath and began to speak.
But as Arturo, his voice boomed, filling the room with warmth and excitement. He made grand gestures, his hands painting pictures in the air. He changed his voice with every character, adding silly accents and funny faces. The children were captivated. They laughed, they gasped, they leaned closer as if they were part of a magical world. Arthur was acting, but something incredible happened. The nervousness began to fade away, replaced by a joy he had never felt before. With every smile, every laugh, every wide-eyed gaze, Arthur felt a spark of real confidence growing inside him. It wasn't just pretend anymore. He was becoming truly confident. As the story reached its climax, Arthur felt a surge of energy coursing through him. He was no longer just reading words from a page. He was bringing the story to life, creating a shared experience that transcended the boundaries of the library walls. By the end of the story time, Arthur realized something profound. Confidence wasn't a gift you were born with, it was a choice, a role you could step into whenever you needed. Like a costume that, when worn often enough, became a part of you. From that day on, Arthur wasn't afraid to try new things, to speak up, or to imagine himself as whoever he wanted to be. He started volunteering for more events at the library, leading book clubs, and even hosting workshops for aspiring writers. Each new challenge was an opportunity to step into a new role, to explore a different facet of himself. And with each role he played, Arthur grew more confident, more self-assured, and more comfortable in his own skin. The shy librarian had discovered the power of choice, the freedom to define himself on his own terms. One day, Ms. Abigail returned to the library, fully recovered and ready to resume her role as the children's storyteller. Arthur greeted her with a warm smile, no longer intimidated by her presence. "Thank you, Arthur," she said, her eyes filled with gratitude. "I heard you did a wonderful job. The children loved you." Arthur blushed, but this time it wasn't from shyness, it was from pride. Confident. "It was my pleasure," he replied, his voice clear and confident. "I discovered something new about myself that day. I discovered that confidence is a choice." From that day forward, Arthur continued to embrace his role as Arturo, the great storyteller, and many other roles besides. He learned that confidence wasn't a fixed trait, it was a skill that could be developed, a muscle that could be strengthened. And as he continued to choose confidence, Arthur not only transformed himself, but also inspired those around him to embrace their own potential and to step into the roles they were destined to play.
For Arthur knew that every person, like every book on the library shelves, held a unique story waiting to be told, and all it took was the courage to choose confidence and to begin writing their own new chapter.
And so, in the heart of the city, the children's library continued to be a haven of stories and dreams, where everyone knew that confidence was not a gift, but a choice.